Let's take a look at the second 9 weeks in Math 7. We will begin with Math 7 Regular. Students will continue Unit 3, looking at applications of equations and solving inequalities. Then they will begin ratios and proportions. And then they will finish the semester with percent applications. So you notice, again, we have multiple flex days built into this. So you have, if your students need more practice, for instance, in ratios and proportions, they're welcome to take that time there. And you're finishing out the semester with flexible days. So looking at those percent applications, looking at just solving percents, and then multi-step ratio problems. In Accelerated, this is where we have our first Part 2 unit. So you notice that Unit 3, we're still looking at equations and inequalities. However, you must introduce the idea of solving equations with variables on both sides and the number of solutions that an equation might have. So again, looking at 8th grade standards. Then they will introduce solving inequalities the same way that your regular students will. The ratios and proportions unit is relatively the same. It ends right here in the middle of week 5. So these two purple days right here are where you will assess Unit 4 for your accelerated students. Then you will begin Unit 4 Part 2, which is all about linear functions. So make sure you cover all of these things here. And then we're ending the unit or the semester like we did before with having that flex week where you would probably have semester exams. So notice that this Part 2 is entirely 8th grade standard, looking at your variables, the rule of 4, your linear functions, slope, translations, and all of those things. The big ideas for the 9 weeks are that your regular students will look at the introduction to percents, but not the applications before Christmas break. So they will look at an introduction to percents, where your accelerated students will not even see percents until you come back from Christmas break. Accelerated is going to make sure that you look at equations with variables on both sides to make sure you're addressing the number of solutions an equation could have. And Accelerated will have that Part 2 unit for Unit 4. This is a power unit. This is one of those units that your students must get for that Accelerated because it's going to follow them into their Accelerated Math 8 and into their Algebra 1 Geometry as unit. So these are the things that your students should be able to do in the second 9 weeks.